Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this work session of the Westfield Washington School Board Trustees to order. Thank you to our board members, administration, and staff for being here this evening. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to any guests joining us tonight. We appreciate your time and interest in our district's work. This evening's session is an opportunity for us to review and discuss important items that will help move our district forward. At this time, I'll turn the meeting over to our superintendent, Dr. John Athan.
Thank you, Bill, members of the board. Tonight we have a presentation from our high school principal, Alicia Denniston, and our middle school principal, Stacy Swan, and it will cover the main broad topic is an update on school accountability, which affects all schools. However, the reason we wanted the high school and the middle school to be here is there are significant changes to programming that we need to make you aware of and our community aware of that are in line with and probably follow up to the changes in the diploma. And so these two spend day in and day out dealing with those changes, and Dr. Hoover as well. And so we thought it was a good opportunity at this work session to loop the board in with that day-to-day and let you ask questions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. I don't know who's going first, but they can take it from here.
Thanks for having us here tonight. We're looking forward to the opportunity of just sharing some of what we've discussed, answering your questions, and having a good discussion. We'll start with the high school, and then as I go through the slides, you'll quickly see, well, this has a lot of middle school applications as well, and so then Stacy will share those. But first, I'd just like to thank everybody for your time, and it does feel good to know there's just so much support in our school system from you, the school board, but also from our district staff as we try to navigate all of these changes. I did also give you two different handouts. One is just a reminder of what the new diploma looks like, and then the other one is the current draft of the new accountability model, what that looks like, and we'll walk through a few of those pieces here, but I wanted to let you know you have that for your reference. So first, I also do need to state, I was hopeful that when we were going to come to you that they would have passed this officially. They have not yet. It was supposed to pass, it was supposed to go to vote in December, but I think there's been a lot of feedback that they've received, and so they want a little more time to vet some of the feedback they've received in the proposed changes. So it is not yet official. However, Stacy and I both believe that we'd rather not wait. I think March is supposed to be when the new deadline is, that we would really like to try to have our ducks in a row. And a lot of the decisions we actually needed to make going into course book and things like that we did in the fall. So that's why we tried to get ahead of it. We do know that there are implications, but I wanted everyone to know it has not yet passed. So we're making some assumptions here. However, things are still subject to change.
And you talk about passed from the State House.
From the state, yes. The official accountability. As of now, however, they are still planning to hold the class of 2026 accountable to the new accountability model that has yet to be published. So some of the feedback they are receiving said, could we maybe wait until next year, instead of this year, but that has not been determined yet. So we're assuming that this will be in play for our current seniors, the 2026 graduates.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, there is a state board of education
Yes.
that has to approve all of this. So if legislation is enacted and asks the DOE to work through the details, then once those details are worked through, then they bring it to the state board, the Indiana State Board of Education, and then that governing board would approve that, much like you do at the local level, they do that at the state level. So they meet once a month, and that
Yes.
and the board is chaired by the I used to call it the superintendent, but it's the state superintendent, but It's the, what's her new title? Yeah, so but anyway, that board meets once a month. So each month, as they consider that, they receive feedback from the entire state, and if they don't feel ready to adopt or to make a motion, then it moves. And so that's what's happened. They wanted to have it adopted before this, but I think they're still working out some of the details.
They're still working out some of the details, so we'll keep everyone updated, but for now, we're trying to have a good plan and make the assumption that we're moving forward so we're the most prepared we can be. So basically, with the new accountability model, they look at each student individually. So when each student will receive a certain number of points based on indicators that they have published, and then they take the average amount of points per student to then get what your school grade is. And I'll show you, there's a slide a little later in here that kind of shows a little bit of an example of that. It is of no surprise, and there's the link here, that they are tying most of the points are tied directly to earning the new diploma seals. Okay, so that's how our students will get the majority of their points, especially at the senior year, is if they have earned the seals that go along with the new diploma. So this is just to show you in grades 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, and you can also see this on your handout near the bottom of the handout, what indicators they are using to come up with the individual student scores. So you can see that your 9 and 10, they're really looking at credits earned in specific areas primarily. That gets you the most amount of points in that academic mastery category. And then they're also giving extra points or additional points for some of the indicators on the right. So you can see college and career coursework, which really ties well to our AP and dual credit courses, will get students additional points. They are really giving a lot to our CTE coursework and our principles courses, which we have really emphasized, as well as some of those with the pathway and the work-based learning. Biology ECA, PSAT. So you can see kind of as you look through there in grades 9 and 10, some of those, how the students will earn points. Once they get to their grades 11 and 12, they're really focused on what diploma they've earned for their key outcome. That gets the majority of the points for the students, and then you can get additional points based on work-based learning experiences, earning credentials of value. They do look at attendance and SAT, ACT, so there are things there that you can see, and I'll kind of outline a few of those things in upcoming slides. So just summarizing what we see on here and what they deem to be important, these are some of the aha moments we've had. One is Bio iLearn, our scores on that have not really mattered as much in the past because they are not tied to graduation or accountability in any way. They now will matter. So students will, so we've already got to work with really mapping out our curriculum in bio and matching those to the standards addressed on the iLearn to make sure we're teaching those with fidelity. Our instructional coaches have worked already with the bio team specifically for that. SAT still matters a lot, okay? So we've been talking several years, and I know we've given some board presentations even the last couple years about some of our efforts to work on raising SAT scores and primarily the language arts and math skills that go along with that. And so we are still going to need to really emphasize that and continue our work there because you can see that's significant in terms of students earning points. And it still matters for both their graduation, right, as well as our accountability, so in both places. Since ACT, so a student, if they meet the benchmark on an ACT versus an SAT, they would still get the point here. So we've talked about what does that mean. We do offer an ACT school day already, which a lot of high schools don't, but we're talking about how can we maybe offer even more opportunities to ensure that students have the opportunity to sit for an ACT as well, because some students might do better on that exam over the SAT. We're continuing to emphasize CTE courseways, pathways, certifications. Those classes will continue to be an emphasis. And then also you can see that college and career coursework is in both our 9-10 and our 11-12 in the indicators. So we will continue to provide students with ample opportunities there. And it ties in with our new diploma in those plus seals as well. So some master schedule implications already coming into it. So, and Stacy will share a little bit more of this later. And so I maybe won't speak to this first bullet point very much, but we are talking about how some of the current required credits can go down into the middle school level. So she's going to talk more about that, but we're looking at our computer science credit, and then also our prep for college and careers will do that. We are working to still have opportunities for students to earn those at the high school in the next couple years. We will be putting that at the middle school level. And then, just so you know, we made this change this upcoming school year, and we feel like it's a good one. So for the time being, the next couple years, we'll continue to embed the required prep for college and careers into every single one of our principals' courses. Since we're encouraging all freshmen to take the principals anyway, and you know, we had all of our principals teachers take a look at the start of last year and say, take a look at the prep for college and career standards, take a look for your principal standards. And there was already so much overlap that the teachers felt like with Fidelity they can incorporate those standards into all the principals' classes. And so therefore, at the end of the second trimester of the principal's course, the student will actually receive a third credit, and that would be for prep for college and careers. So that's transcripted for them as well. So we've also made a decision for the next couple years. If you look at the new diploma, that personal financial responsibility is there. Econ is not there as a must. However, we're still encouraging all of our students. Colleges have said they like to see econ. So for the next couple years, we are going to embed the personal finance standards into all of our econ classes. And I think once the current freshmen, who are the first class on the new diploma, once they get up to their junior, senior year, we will probably once again have a standalone personal financial responsibility as well as econ. But for the time being, to maximize staffing and just really ensure that our econ, you know, students are still taking that econ class, we're making that decision for the time being. We are, as we look to build, we're in right at the beginning stages of the master schedule build for next year. And so, you know, we're making a commitment to maximize our existing staff as much as we can. So, right now, there's been a lot of our HCC conference schools, I've had a lot of conversation about that, and there have been some hypothetical runs of what would our schools look like under the new accountability model. Because so much emphasis is placed on the new diploma, and our current freshmen are the first class to have that. Right now, it looks like we could be a C rating. It might be higher than that, but if no changes are made, we need to just be prepared that our school accountability rating for this year will probably be a little bit lower. However, we're committed to, you know, doing all we can to provide students that life-ready education and that utmost, you know, the best education we possibly can, while still also being mindful of the requirements of the new diploma and the new accountability model. This shows you just an example of, they gave an example of how they will figure it for the students. So you can see here that this is the 12th grade year, and they're calculating how many students graduate with the Honors Plus seal versus how many with the Honors seal versus how many with the base new diploma. And then you can see kind of where they've added in how many have one additional success indicator versus how many have 2 additional success indicators, and so on. And so they just gave a mock there. But that shows you just a little bit about how they're going to calculate it. So what we learned from that is the new diploma and the honor seals are a really big deal. We believe that our students and our curriculum and our courses and everything that we have at Westfield High School, we are well positioned to give many of our students, majority of our students, an opportunity to earn that honor seal, and many will also earn the plus seal. But the plus seal, our students will primarily earn a plus seal in two different ways. One is either by earning the Indiana College Core, which we've talked about, where they have 30 college credits. 15 have to be from our partner school, and we have made the switch to IU Kokomo. I think you're aware of that. But that is one primary way that students will earn the plus seal. And then the other way is by earning AP Honors with Distinction, okay, which is 5 AP courses, but also having the passing score on those 5. We already have many of our students who are earning that. So we believe that those two paths are really good ways for students to be able to earn that plus. And then there will be other students who earn the plus seal through our employability seal. And that plus seal is obtained mainly through a credential in the workplace, and also through lots of hours of work-based learning, which some of our students will also be able to do. So we're going to continue to place an emphasis on work-based learning and internships, because regardless of whether they're going for the enrollment honor seal plus or the employment honor seal plus, the work-based learning internship is a requirement for both. So we are going to continue to network, we're going to continue to partner with our community to give students both in-house and community internships and have those experiences. So what we're trying to do right now, what we've shared with our staff, is we're going to continue to embrace rigor for all, regardless of what the accountability model is, regardless of what the diploma is. We are going to provide our students with, ensure high levels of learning for all. Our mission and vision doesn't change at all. We're going to continue to provide them with rigorous courses, a variety of courses in areas of interest, as well as just foundational courses for their post-secondary readiness. And then we're going to continue to emphasize those SAT skills, as we know those will continue to be important. And we're providing feedback wherever we've had the opportunity with our State Board of Ed. So before I would turn this over to Stacy to talk about the middle school implications of the new accountability model and new diploma, any questions for the high school piece? Or if you want to wait till the end for both, we could take questions then.
I may wait to the end for most of them, but does the work-based going out and working hold as much weight with the state as the AP honors? Do you get the same amount?
They're both different indicators. So I think ideally the students would have all of those. They would have a work-based internship of at least 75 hours, and then they would also have AP and dual credit courses.
Alicia, what does a work-based internship, what counts as a work-based?
The good news is many things would count for that. And so many of our students have traditionally done co-op, okay? You can still do that, but there is a component of a coursework component too, some modules on Canvas where students are learning more about the workforce, about the employability skills. This is really where a lot of our employability standards come in here. But you can also earn work-based learning with businesses in the community, but also many of our courses we're shifting over to be work-based internships even inside the school. So cadet teaching, for example, will end up being work-based internship, as well as our education professions course. Okay, and what we did is in some cases, we added some more hours in the field, but you have to keep in mind too, many of our culinary internships, our internships in the broadcasting journalism world, our internships with the early childhood, the BAC, all of those, as long as they meet the criteria for that work-based learning internship course, there's many ways in which the students can do it. Not to mention, we've also opened up a course in the summer. So students, so let's say students do have a full plate of AP and dual credit courses to what you were saying. There will be opportunity for them to take the work-based learning modules and internship pieces in the summer to earn that as well.
In co-op, you're talking, is that like J. Everett Light stuff?
Co-op would just be working in any job. So
Okay.
from our students working at Crew Car Wash, to students who might be working in a doctor's office, it can be any job.
Okay.
So is it the state legislature's intent that we get graded on the opportunities we give to these students for these co-ops? Or are we graded on how many students take advantage of the opportunity?
How many students take advantage,
Really?
because it is by student. Now, it's our job to promote, to offer the opportunities and make them excellent opportunities that the students want to take, and to provide as many opportunities we can for them to achieve it.
Is that the same thing for the co-op job thing? Are we getting graded on how many kids have jobs, I guess is my question.
There's
the
a
answer is no.
portion, there's an indicator that speaks to the number of students with work-based learning, but there's so many ways they can achieve the work-based learning that it wouldn't,
Okay.
it wouldn't be necessarily have to be a job outside of the school.
Okay, we have no control over that, so it's hard to be graded on
Ultimately,
that.
the cleanest answer to your question is yes.
Really?
I mean, Alicia's doing a great job of explaining that there's multiple ways, but the cleanest answer is if we had more students that were either doing co-op or different of the internships, we're going to get more points for those students, as long as they're also doing the AP.
That would raise our grade from a C to a whatever. So is Carmel gonna be rated C?
Right now, we
Really?
feel like we're pretty in a similar boat, our
Is there a
entire
B?
conference.
Is there a B in the
and
state?
Well, what is the whole grading scale? Is it just A, B, C, D, F?
Yes.
It's an A and
yes.
an F grading scale.
A to F.
They've,
Is there a-
they've stayed with the A to F, just how you get the A through the F has changed.
Is there a B in the state?
So all of the county schools work very closely together, and early indications show that all of us are rated very low. The
Okay.
Hamilton Southeasterns, the Carmels, on
Okay.
this model. That's
No,
one of
you're
the
saying
reasons.
C's and below.
Yeah,
Right.
that's one of the reasons why it kind of went back to the drawing board and they haven't come to a definite decision, because they were hoping to have one by
It's a heck of a
December.
curve, man.
And
Okay.
so the representatives from the schools are providing input and showing, okay, this is what a,
So we don't know, there could
Westfield
be a
would
B,
look like, a
but
Carmel
we
would
don't
look
know.
like on this scale.
Okay.
And so that's what,
Is there a chance we're a B? Yeah, there's a chance.
I don't mean in Hamilton County, because clearly, apparently, we don't rate, but I mean some other county throughout the state. Of the 92 counties in the state, is there a B?
It's gonna be real difficult obviously our schools historically have competed with, been some of the higher performing schools
Right.
in the state. I think a lot of your questions are very good in the fact that you're sort of questioning the same way a lot of us did as to how are we being graded or assessed on a system that hasn't yet even been approved or finalized. And so Stacy and Alicia have really tried to, work through this year as best
Right.
they could, not sort of playing with, this is truly a goalpost moving as they go situation, but we do anticipate that this would be our lowest year moving forward, or
We'll be well-positioned. So that's why I wanted, when you look at these indicators here, we are doing really well on these indicators. The only reason we would be lower this year is because the primary piece that they're grading us on is on a diploma that the students aren't earning yet.
So, and I guess I could speak, we have a couple, I have a senior and Amber has a senior. So what I have seen this year, and I appreciate, is our high school team is doing everything they can. My son has a job, and so he's co-oping and trying, but I think we probably should look at people like Greg and say, legislation changes midstream usually happen on the budget and finance side of the district, and they're happening now on the curriculum, learning, and credit and diploma side. So the diploma changed, And so what my son is focused on, because he wants to go to college, and I think the takeaway, I don't want to forget to say this, it was at the chamber luncheon our community, our county believes, and this district believes, the best workforce is a well-educated workforce. And so that's where our attention is going to be. And certainly we understand the benefits and the opportunities in the new diploma, and we're trying to shift to take advantage of those, but we're midstream. So as you put that data in, many of our seniors weren't working on what they want us to focus on and working on now. And so as our freshman class moves through, we believe our grade will only go up. And the accountability system, the way I'll say it is, they're trying to set it up to value what they've changed the diploma to be, okay, whether you like the diploma or not, and to incentivize the diploma, the new diploma, and to follow the new diploma. Well, it's not fully implemented, so when it is, I think we feel like we'll be in a good spot.
We will.
Is this based on, I'm assuming the answer is yes, based on data that we're sending to them? So we have to interpret what they
They're
want.
pulling a lot of it.
They're
They
pulling
have
it.
yet to tell
Okay.
us exactly how the pull will work
Okay,
and, you know, what the systems are, but we have been told that they will pull, that there will probably be a combination of some things we need to send and some things they'll automatically pull through Power School, most likely.
okay.
So for the older kiddos, juniors and seniors, if they did the summer work base but didn't report anything to the school, should they to help you get more points?
We won't be able to report anything retroactively, so it will just be moving forward.
Just out of curiosity, it's a pretty specific question, but any thought on offering like the new AP Business and Personal Finance class as you're looking at personal finance again down the road to
We are
kinda
discussing
kill two birds there?
Yes, yes.
And there are a couple new, like cybersecurity and some of those
Yes.
also coming
We're
online?
looking at all of that, and I think that makes sense.
And just to kind of pull this before Stacy may address this, but last board meeting, many of those classes that I discussed is exactly what Stacy and Alicia are talking about. They have done the lion's share of the work, but we have looked at various classes that we want to be at middle school and then high school, so that way, so they're well ahead of where we need to be. It's just we can't necessarily show all that yet until students matriculate through that process.
The one piece that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the past, a credit was given or earned based on the course. Now, the credit is given or earned based on the standards in the course.
Exactly
So
right.
2 credits can be given for 1 course if they cover the standards necessary to earn those credits.
Yes.
So you can combine 2 classes.
And that's the flexibility of the diploma that I think we like.
Yes.
But that's also in the transition, trying to figure out, okay, what standards you put where to benefit kids, but also to maximize our staffing.
Well, and we need to make sure that we can show, you know, that's why where our curriculum guides and tied to the standards that we have done with Fidelity, those really come into play. If we were audited, we'd need to be able to show, you know, our pacing guides and our curriculum and how we're incorporating the standards. So we want to make sure we're doing that with Fidelity.
And so would that be would you be able to combine classes for like honors classes versus just like standard English or whatever class you're going to be teaching? Would you be able to add more work for all students if you do that?
We would look at really combining at all levels, you know, so if, for example, the personal financial responsibility, we will embed that into each of the econ courses, including the AP and the on-level and so forth. And then for all, the principals courses there are a couple that are on our PLTW that are honors, and then we have many principals on level, and it will be incorporated in all.
So, but we can all agree that US News and World Report does not agree with this rating system, right? I mean, we're in the top 2% in the state of Indiana, but we're a C. That's insane to me. I'm sure everybody else has figured this out other than me. Okay, I mean,
And
that's crazy, right?
I think
Okay,
I'm trying to be prepared, but I still remain somewhat optimistic that they haven't passed this for a reason.
okay.
You know, that they've received a lot of feedback about, you know, maybe we shouldn't hold the class of 2026 account. And so, we're gonna be prepared, but I still am maybe optimistic that this may not be the final
Yeah, that's fine.
form and the final timeline.
Yeah, I don't think that'd look
Good for Indiana to have a top 2% school get a C rating.
All of them are. I mean,
Yeah.
Carmel, us, Zion.
Oh, Hamilton County and surroundings.
Something to bear in mind though, I mean, like, you're asking all the right questions, but it's not necessarily a regression to the mean, but schools like ours are, like, no schools will have students that are doing the new diploma. So it's leveling things for this first year, like other schools that may have been well below where our performance or higher are not gonna, I mean, like, they're not gonna drop to the level of that, cause, does that make sense? Cause their kids are also not doing the diploma, but they were
they're gonna be Cs and Ds anyway.
correct. And so it might be a situation where for a year, hopefully just a year, that might look odd, but we are holding out hope that maybe there will be some last minute changes. Because obviously the whole point of any evaluation system is to be reliable and accurate as to, you know, so we're just gonna kind of meander through that, but I guess in worst case scenario, there will be others that are in very similar situations.
So it's bringing the top down and the bottom up, and meeting in the middle.
In some instances, possibly, yes.
Middle school?
Well, I have some other great news. If the middle school is a C, I will be thrilled. Because what you'll see is there are fewer indicators allowed for grades 7 and 8. So your ability to earn those bonus points as an individual student is very limited. So I'll go through those kind of as we talk. And there's the A to F grade that Alicia talked about. And just a reminder, each individual child is given a number, and then they'll divide it by the number of students we have in the building. But the vast majority of a middle school point or a score is iLearn. And so earning the iLearn, and then plus additional knowledge, skills, and experiences. What does that look like at middle school, right? They can't go out to work and all those kind of things. So we have to get a little bit more creative in that, and making sure that we give all of our students the best possible chance for a higher score. And we want to prepare them for, I always say that I really resist the term preparing them from high school. That really like insults me for some reason. I feel like that is short-sighted. We need to prepare them for life, and we need to think about who they are developmentally, academically, and making sure that the education we provide for them is both challenging and age-appropriate, and prepares them for not only high school, but life beyond high school. And so this is another thing that Alicia showed you, but I have it broken down a little bit into our grade level bands. And you'll notice that there are fewer bullets for grades 7 and 8 than any other grade level band that there are. And those bullets are those on the right on ways that they can earn, I'm calling it like an insurance policy, like bonus points that they can earn in order to get a higher individual score, which would go to our grade, letter grade for the district or the building. And so that's just a breakdown of the ways students can earn those things on the far right on your form, the way they can earn it. So growth on iLearn, whether they got typical growth or accelerated growth, would be added into there. You can only get one or the other. Either your typical growth or your accelerated growth on ELA or your math, and attendance rate of 94%, which we want our attendance rate to be as high as it can be, and each individual child to have at least a 94% attendance. And then the final way is students completing 2 high school credits each grade level before leaving middle school. So 2 credits as a 7th grader, 2 credits as an 8th grader before leaving middle school. So that's currently what it is looking like for us. And you see, this is how the middle school will be graded. So you get an individual first score based on iLearn and iLearn alone. And then if you get, say, one of those other success indicators, if you get one of those, say you have 94% attendance, and that's it, that's all you have, then your score would be that second column. And if you earn another one, say you have typical growth, then you'd move over to the 2 success indicators. And then say you earn those 2 credits in your 7th grade year, then you would get the highest score possible for your iLearn proficiency level. And so that's what it's currently like for us at the middle school, especially grades 7 and 8. 6th grade has another one because they would also get a chance to pass that 6th grade science iLearn. We just don't have that opportunity at 7th and 8th grade because we only take the ELA and math iLearn. And so it does kind of force us into a situation where we have to allow more high school credits at the middle school level than we previously have. And it becomes much more important that those students that may not pass iLearn have that opportunity to earn some of those points. And so that's why we kind of were looking at different courses that we think are age appropriate, are also developmentally appropriate in the fact that we want students to be, high school ready, college ready, prepared, college and career sort of things, and as well as that preparing for colleges and careers, and then our other courses that we want to offer from the high school, the computing for the digital age. So those are the areas, just another recap of the areas where our 7th and 8th graders would be kind of assessed on iLearn, again, earning 2 credits, high school credits at that grade level, not total, growth, and their attendance rate. So what we presented at the last board meeting are the new high school credits for our middle school students, computing foundations for the digital age, preparing for college and careers. And then we went another different direction, and we added physical science as a 7th grader, 2nd semester, and then as an 8th grader, physical science, 1st semester. And the reason behind that is it's what they're teaching right now. And so we looked at things that would, again, age appropriate and things that we already are doing and doing at a high level. We're presenting a curriculum to our kids that is a high level curriculum. And if we have to give high school credits for something, I want to pick something that we're doing well and we can make better. And those are the 4 areas that we landed on for next school year in order to offer those high school credits for.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
So for those high school credits, when they finally come over to the high school, will those be on their, okay, because I know sometimes they don't make their way over there.
Right, so those have to be on the transcript, and they're C or better is what the requirement is, because, so they have to be transcripted credit in order to count for, number 1, the high school diploma, number 2, the accountability for the middle school. And also, when they get to high school, there's another, like, if you don't have at least 10 high school credits, then you get points deducted because you're not, you know, on par or on level. So you have to at least have 10 credits to be on track, is what they call it, for graduation. So it also, it helps
help us
in
too.
several different ways. I guess the
So,
short of it is.
I do want to, and again, this is different, but just to address, I think, in the shift we're making, having several students who are kiddos, my own personal kiddos, who worried about their GPA. From a mathematical standpoint, you want as few as credits as possible and as many weighted courses. So if you're not going to, in their past, if you're not going to weight the middle school course, they don't want it on their transcript because it actually hurts their GPA as opposed to helps it. And so you want, so
We have to change that narrative, though, because everybody is going to have it, so it levels the playing field.
that's exactly right. So if you don't, but that was the struggle in the past, is it doesn't matter that you're in middle school, it actually, you know, from a high-performing student standpoint, that hurts my GPA. So they would always want it removed from the transcript because they've earned enough credits at Westfield High School, and the colleges know, they see what courses they take, which is what's really important.
So do you get extra points if you make an A instead of a C?
No.
So an A is just as good
C or
as a
above
C?
gets the point.
I can just be average.
You don't get a bonus point for getting an A. You know.
Why do
It'll
you,
help your GPA,
why do you
but
split
that's
this?
it.
Why do you split the science between why not just do first and second semester of 7th grade for physical science and then 8th grade? something
Because
else?
their current standards in 7th grade align better with physical science in second semester in 7th grade and in first semester of 8th grade. So their current science standards, the way they're written and the way they've been teaching them, they align better that way. And so, I mean,
Also, it gets you a point in each grade, because right now they're saying up to two high school credits in 7th grade and up to 2 high school credits in 8th grade, so they're able to check that box.
Is language a credit? Like you could do physical science in 7th grade and do French in 8th grade, or?
so, yeah. So we have other high school credits that we also offer, that we will continue to offer. And that would be our maths, our algebra, geometry, and then starting next year, beginning band and beginning choir, to earn a high school credit in those classes as well. So through next year, we'll be offering credit for French and Spanish. So those are all opportunities. So a middle school student would have the chance to earn several credits. And as you're planning this, however, we want to make sure we're looking at our kiddos that aren't your algebra geometry kids. We need to look out for them. And so that's why the other classes, everyone's going to get a credit. I mean, as long as they C or better, right? But they have a better opportunity of earning a high school credit for computing foundations and preparing for colleges and careers, as well as physical science, because every child will be in those classes.
And Stacy and Alicia could talk about this for a long time, but like it's a little bit of a game. Like algebra, a lot of our kids will take it as 8th graders, but some wouldn't normally have taken it till their freshman year. Well, so you have to be real creative of where you place things, and you know, if they're taking algebra as 8th grade, well then it's a class they can't take, so you have to think through some of that. And then just the other thing I'd like to point out is how fortunate we are, and with your support, to be able to have these offerings. Think about some of our friends across the state that don't have these types of resources and have the ability to offer all these types of classes.
Right.
We are fortunate, but many of our colleagues are nowhere near this fortunate to be able to have those types of offerings, or they're having to send kids across to different schools and different things like that and look at all kinds of different options. So,
If they're also a C.
So, one of the things that may change for the middle school accountability is the 7th grade credit piece. So there's a lot of conversation, across the state, and the people who are advising on this is really do 7th graders have to earn 2 credits? That's really what you want them to do. And so there is some conversation about making the 7th grade additional indicator be work-based skills and employability skills in that regard. And which, if they make that switch, I would be grateful, but we also are sitting really well in that regard too. I've been working with Kyle Miller over the last couple years, creating kind of employability rubrics, employability, kind of having conversations with teachers, and they are building that into their curriculum, and in each one of the classes. The big question is how do we report this? So that's a question that the state has to figure out if they decide, okay, we're going to trade out the 2 credits at 7th grade to employability readiness or, career readiness kind of things. I don't know how you assess that and how you report that, but if they make that change, we're ready, and we'll just do, what they ask us to do. But either way, we can't wait. We can't wait for them to make that decision, so we're moving forward with the high school credits that we talked about, as well as the employability work that we've been doing. We'll just continue that, and hopefully at some point soon we'll find out how it is, but we will be given a grade based on what we've done this year, and so we'll just see what that looks like. So, questions for me?
Shifting, is there any benefit of offering a personal finance course at the middle school level to allow for more flexibility, maybe position us better for grading with the state, but also just provide students more flexibility then with courses they're able to fit into their schedule at the high school level if we also offer that at a middle school level?
So we looked at, Alicia and I have worked a lot together on this, and we look at kind of the courses, high school courses that we currently offer, the kind of staff we currently have, and teacher licensing, and that piece of it as well. So it was important to them that we did the computing foundations for the digital age, or computer science, as well as the preparing for colleges and careers. And that will open up, and the courses we've talked about, that will open up more room in a student's schedule, and it doesn't necessarily matter what credits we put where, but they all will mean that they'll have more room in their schedule for other kind of more detailed electives that they want to take with aligned with their major and things like that. So, we could have done that, but we looked at the staff and what we currently already offer at the middle school, and which would be less of a kind of a heavy lift for us to transition over to that class. And so that's just why we landed on those 2.
We feel like it also would coincide well with econ standards. So for now, we're going to see what it looks like to embed. And then also, originally, I think things are more flexible now, but originally the thought with the personal financial responsibility course was it was well suited more for juniors and seniors, as they're really looking at budgets and things that they'll be doing right out of high school and different things like that. Although they're a little more flexible on that, I think by having it later and having it as in the math category, which is where it's with the new diploma, it can actually be taught by social studies or math, which gives some flexibility. But I think we can do even more with what they might see right after high school with their finances. But certainly, it doesn't mean that things are set in stone. We may continue to collaborate and take a look at where things fall. So I think that there could be some benefit to what you're saying as well.
I think that's correct me if I'm wrong here too, the personal finance course, the biggest debate is not whether kids should have it, but where it should be to have the greatest impact with application for the kiddos. And so that's been the debate since it's come around. Where should it be placed so that you get, and I think most recently, as late in the high school year
Yes.
or career as possible.
Has the most direct application.
Right,
Sure.
is the thinking. I'm not saying that's right. I think we're a little bit flying the plane as we build it. And so we need to study that. And it could be that, as you said, and, some of the other the standards, maybe they're integrated in several courses.
Yes.
At an appropriate level. The other thing I want to note, again, is we started when Stacy was hired and we made a commitment to restructuring our district and putting sixth grade in the middle school. We started a middle school study team, so the new diploma wasn't even on the radar, and it was around. She described it very well, but young adolescents and what they need in middle school is very different than what high school students need. So we specifically did not want a junior high. We've not had a junior high because we want to meet the needs of young adolescents. Now, we're still going to have the rigor, and we're still going to challenge students, but the support and the engagement is really important. And then the employability skills Kyle in the district have been working on that for several years, and we now, though, I think, are getting momentum around integrating those into our academic standards, and so we feel really good about that, and we're grateful for our counselors at every level who've kind of unpacked those and helped our classroom teachers understand how those connect and implement into every course. And then also now our kids are going out with work-based learning opportunities and applying those skills.
Any other questions for me?
So are there any next steps as you think about, I know obviously we have to keep an eye on the state board education and when they officially adopt, and then do we know then a timeline when the first round of grades that may come out, or if they do finally adopt it, how we can run some models to see where we are, how we're doing, maybe even where we started, where we're going, to make sure that we are headed in the right direction, right? Like, I don't know if you've thought that far, but I just thought I would ask.
Yes, I think that as soon as we find out, and hopefully next month would be the latest we would find out if they have officially adopted it as is. I do think that we should probably run, using our current data, how do we think our class of 2026 will fall, just to prepare for that and to be proactive with some messaging. I know our grade would come out officially in the fall, but I think we should have an idea. I do know that HSE and Fishers, they had someone working at their district, and I don't know if it's somebody they partnered with or somebody at their district level, but they actually did run it all to see where they would fall. And I'm not sure exactly how they did that, but I know a few of the schools in our conference have done that, so I think I would want to find out how they did it and then see and do that for us.
Yeah, and I think Pat Mapes, the Southeastern Superintendent, sits on the State Board of Education, so he has access
Yes.
to some of the formulas and
They
information.
probably use some of his data as an example.
And so as I've listened
Yes.
to him talk this year, we have monthly meetings, I get the sense that they were working, he was using his data to inform the board as they had questions and
Yes.
conversations. So, so I think that's probably how they were able to do it with Southeastern.
The last time, I mean, it's been years ago, I think, that they used to give out grades for schools anyway. What was our grades back then?
We've been A for a long time. I can't remember when we weren't.
Well, do we think that the HSE superintendent that sits on the State Board of Education is going to pass a grading system that puts his district at a C? Or he just vote
He
no?
doesn't vote.
Oh, yeah.
He's just an advisor.
Oh,
Yeah, he
yeah, so-
doesn't get to vote.
All right.
Yeah, he's,
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah, he just advises, and I work closely with Brett Bailey, who is the principal at Hamilton Heights Middle School, and he also advises kind of the Indiana Association of School Principals. And so he gets some insider information too, and so that's where, you know, I get the middle school kind of version of the information, and so, and all of the principals are, you know, in the same boat, and so each district has kind of come up with what works for their staff and their school and their school culture. And so none of us are doing exactly the same thing, because it just doesn't, you know, it has to reflect your community and your school. But we're all trying to figure it out as we go, and so, but we all have very similar plans. It's just they might pick PE where we picked physical science, so.
Now, with you being on semesters and you being on trimesters, does this affect anything? Like causing the teaching schedule or a challenge?
Say again, Amber.
With the middle school being on semesters versus the high school being on trimesters, I know when my kiddos were in middle school, they would have to like take a final when it really wasn't the middle school's like end of semester, and it was kind of confusing. So I didn't know how that would work. for some
Because
of
they
these
will
courses.
earn all of their credits within the middle school walls, it won't impact that.
So it'll just be a different
It'll just go
schedule.
onto the high school transcript, but they won't actually take it at the same time that our students would take finals or
'Cause-
be at our
yeah.
building.
Because the reality is, our kids will be taking 2 quarter classes,
Right.
which are going to equal one semester, one high school semester class. And so we're doing that because we run our electives, if you will, on quarters. And so we couple 2 quarters because 2 quarters equals one semester and get a credit for that.
Very good.
any other questions for? All right, well, that is the formal agenda item that we had. What?
Am I closing out?
Sure.
Okay.
Do I need to make a motion?
Do you need to make, we don't take action since
Okay.
it's a work session.
Before we adjourn, I want to thank everyone who joined us this evening. We appreciate the thoughtful discussion and the work that goes into preparing these sessions. And if there is no further business to come before the board,